here at WOCA.
Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA. Ocala!
All right, 22 minutes after 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. You know, whenever I get on my GPS and I'm heading someplace, it'll give me an estimated time that I'm going to arrive there. So I'm on the interstate. The interstate speed limit is 70 miles an hour, 70. Mm-hmm. Usually everybody's zooming past me because they're all doing at least 80, right?
They're all speeding.
So, okay, I got to go 80 because I'm going to be rear-ended. Somebody, boom, boom, boom. and I know some of you are comfortable going fast like that. I am just not. It's like, oh, come on. This is a little, can we slow it down a little bit? Well, can you imagine going that fast on a sled?
Yeah, huge.
Can you imagine going 80 miles an hour on a sled? We have a book here. You are really going to like this one. It is called Speed Kings, the 1932 Winter Olympics and the Fastest Men in the World. Andy Bull is the author of the book. He's on the phone. He's a senior sports writer for The Guardian. He has received multiple nominations and awards, commendations, etc., at both the British Press Awards and the Sports Journalism Awards. This is a fascinating topic, and I only began the book, so I don't even know much of what's between the covers. Andy Bull, good morning, sir.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for being on. Where are you? Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from London, England, where it's in the middle of the afternoon. In fact, the sun's already going down here.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, really? We had a story this morning about a swimming pool that you could swim naked right in London. I don't know if you...
on Sundays.
Is that right?
It's a popular thing, I think. I heard about it. Anyway.
I haven't tried that myself. I'll look out for it. Might be a little cold for it this time of year.
So let me ask you about this. How did this become something of interest to you to the extent that you wrote a whole book on it?
Well, it all began with this one lovely little fact, which is that only one athlete in history has ever won a gold medal at the Winter Olympics and the Summer Olympics. And when I found that out, I thought, that sounds like a great story. I started researching it. The more I researched, the more I realized how much material there was, and I ended up with a whole beautiful book's worth.
And it's really, really fascinating because everybody was on the verge of war, and it was the Jazz Age, and you had a lot of different characters that were being celebrated throughout the world.
That's absolutely right. It's a time and a place which I was very interested in anyway. It's, as you say, a bit of the kind of Gatsby era, the Jazz Age, and some of these bobsledders are very much from that world. They're kind of high society figures, spend a lot of time in the New York nightclubs or swanning around the ski slopes in San Moritz. And then we obviously move into the Great Depression, and that's got a very different atmosphere to it.
When I was younger, I used to play music at colleges, and I used to go through Lake Placid a lot. And Lake Placid, it clings to its identity with the Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's an amazing place. It's such a small town. For it to have held the Olympics once would be amazing. The fact that it's done it twice is just kind of incredible, really. I mean, I went there when I was researching the book, obviously, and I was amazed at how small a place it was.
Yes, absolutely. Me too. And why? I mean, why is it such a good place for the Winter Olympics?
Well, the reason the Winter Olympics really came to Lake Placid was because of this extraordinary man named Godfrey Dewey. And he really is almost the villain of my book, Speed Kings. He had a tremendous personal vision. He wanted to bring the Winter Olympics to the town of Lake Placid. He wanted to make Lake Placid the great winter sports resort of America. To do that, he built America's first bobsled track for the 1932 Olympics. The reason I say he was a villain was because he had some very difficult and unpopular attitudes. He was very anti-Semitic, and he also tried his hardest to stop the heroes of the book, Billy Fisk, Eddie Egan, Jay O'Brien, and Clifford Gray. He tried his hardest to stop them winning the gold medal because he wanted it to go to the local team from the town of Lake Placid.
Oh, really? And was that it? Or was there any of his anti-Semitism in the way? Were any of those people Jewish?
Yeah, well, absolutely. His anti-Semitism was hugely controversial. I mean, he ran this, the Lake Placid Club, which, if you've been to Lake Placid, you'll know about. It's on the shore of the lake there. And the club was an anti-Semitic club. It didn't allow Jewish people in, and that sat very, very badly with Billy Fisk, the hero of the book. Billy Fisk was a very principled man who would ultimately give his life fighting in the Second World War. He was a fighter pilot. And he really couldn't stand this man, Godfrey Dewey. He couldn't stand his anti-Semitism. They didn't get on at all. So that really is the rivalry at the heart of the book between these two men.
And all four of the men that were the heroes, they had such a diverse background, especially Eddie Egan. I thought that was fascinating. He was a boxer and a world champion, but he was a world scholar.
That's right. Eddie, I mentioned at the beginning that only one man has won a gold medal at the Winter and Summer Olympics. That is Eddie Egan, who is this just extraordinary guy. They don't make them like Eddie anymore. He was a heavyweight boxer. He grew up very poor in Colorado, but had a tremendous punch on him. And this punch won him all kinds of fame and success. But he never wanted to turn professional. Instead, he wanted to study. So he became a scholar. He went to Yale, then he went to Harvard, and then he was a Rhodes Scholar at Oxford University in England. I mean, he achieved so much with his life, it makes me feel a little inadequate just talking about him.
Are any of the guys still alive?
They're not. Eddie was the last to pass away, and that was in the 60s. What I did do was track down their families, their relatives, who were scattered all across America and Europe. But, you know, that was a real joy, talking to all these people.
I bet, yeah.
And, you know, reading some of the diaries and letters that the men themselves wrote.
Did any of the were any of the records broken? Have any of the records stayed records, I should say?
Yeah, that's a good question. Billy Fisk, the driver, he set records on the Cresta Run in San Moritz, which is a very famous toboggan track in San Moritz, where you go head first down this mountain. It's ludicrously dangerous thing to do. And Billy set several records on the Cresta Run that stood for years and years and years, which, I mean, he's very, very famous in Switzerland.
Wow. We have a copy of the book. I hate to give it away because I want to finish reading it, but I'll have to get my own version or a Kindle version.
The interview.
All right, the book. Yeah, I know. I hate to end the interview as well. Andy Bull, thank you for being on the air. Call me if you want the copy that was sent to us. Andy, give us a website. Is it just go to Amazon, etc., or any of them?
Yeah, it's available to download on your Kindle. It's available in your local bookshop, and there's also a lovely audio book.
Oh, are you voicing it? Is it you?
No, we got an actor in to voice it. He's got a great voice.
So do you. Speed Kings, the 1932 Winter Olympics and the fastest men in the world. That's what you will look for. Andy Bull, B-U-L-L. Thank you so much for being on the air with us today.
Thanks for having me on. It was a pleasure.
That was great. We will be right back.
That the federal government can set priorities in enforcing immigration laws.
Fox Radio's John Decker, Republicans slamming the president's order as an illegal executive overreach. After changes at the top at the University of Missouri, the school says are